Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user LateTart320. Am I the A-hole for telling my fiancé that his family was too nice when I met them? I, 27 female, recently met my fiancé's 31 male family for the first time. We have been together for 4 years, but we spent 2 of those years in my home country and then moved to his country after I finished my graduate program. We didn't settle in his home state, but I kept asking to meet his parents because he's met mine multiple times, and he always said that they're just very private people or kind of old-fashioned, so we should wait until we're engaged. Weird, but some people are just weird, so I didn't push on it. Well, we're engaged now, so last weekend we finally made the trip. I don't know how else to describe it, but something felt really off about the entire thing. They weren't rude. I want to preface by saying that. It's on the contrary. They were nice to a degree that felt contrived and honestly a little scary. His mom kept hugging and touching me and holding my hands, asking what she can do for me, how she can make me comfortable. That it's so nice to finally meet me. His dad barely said a word to me, and that juxtaposition was a lot. I felt love-bombed a little. She made all my favorite foods and kept anxiously asking if anything was wrong, if she could refill my drink. She even offered me her shirt when I mentioned I thought it looked really nice. I thought maybe she was just anxious. I don't know. His little sisters asked polite questions to me, but still, it felt so surface level. His mom was dominating everything. It kind of felt like a job interview. Like, what are you looking for in a marriage? And have you heard much about our little town? With palpable relief when I said no, because I'm not from the US. She asked about my past relationships and was very interested in why me and my past boyfriend broke up. I specifically remember her saying, "How hard did you fight for it? Or did you just leave?" And that was so weird. I just felt oddly interrogated and coddled at the same time. I'm not explaining myself well, but my gut told me to get out of that house. My fiancé barely spoke all night, and anytime I looked at him for reassurance, he just smiled and looked down at his hands, which is not like him at all. A couple nights in, I told him I was feeling kind of weird and wanted to go home. He asked me why, and I told him that maybe I'm just not used to American socializing, that I just feel a little tired and overwhelmed, and that his family is really, really nice, but I'm not sure how to handle it. I was trying to not be rude, but we've always emphasized honesty in our relationship, and I thought if this was a cultural thing, maybe we can talk about it and overcome it together. He got really defensive though, saying I was being dramatic, rude, and xenophobic, when his family had gone out of their way to make me feel welcome. I apologized and said I was grateful, but I just felt a little weird, and he said he was done talking about it. We drove home and he won't talk about it anymore, will hardly even talk to me. His mom, on the other hand, has been texting me non-stop since she met me, how happy she was to meet me, how beautiful I am, and how she hopes we won't wait too long to get married and have kids. I just feel so unsettled. My fiancé thinks I am an ungrateful a-hole, and maybe I am? Am I? I just feel so out of sorts over this. Any advice, criticism, anything is welcome. Well, Obi, I don't think you were ungrateful. I think you were overwhelmed and you tried to express that to your boyfriend and apparently he took that as a great offense. Also, I'm not so sure he knows what the word xenophobia means because it's not like you disliked his parents because they were from the US. You were just overwhelmed with how they were treating you and you, trying to be honest with him, told him about it. Now, as to his mom's behavior, yeah, I mean, I understand. I've seen overeager parents trying to really get their future in-law to like them, but in your case, she just made you really uncomfortable. So I guess my only questions would be, did your boyfriend have any girlfriends that he chased away himself and his mom just really wants him to find somebody that stays with him? But overall, OP, no, I don't think you were the a-hole. You were just being honest with him. Now, him giving you the cold shoulder because of that honesty, that sucks and that makes him the a-hole in my opinion. So maybe you need to sit down with him and have a really deep conversation about what's going on. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Defiant Blueberry 44 says, not the a-hole. Americans will talk and smile to strangers all the time just being friendly, but this is not normal American socializing. I am from the South US, where we take the friendly up a notch, and I am on my couch cringing so bad I almost stopped reading, I was so uncomfortable. And Opie responds, I didn't want to make any generalizations in my post, but I seriously thought I was just being inconsiderate and not adapting to a different culture because he kept insisting that was my problem. But it's weird, right? It felt like so much more than friendly. I can't accurately depict it with words. Thank you for sharing this as an American because I feel a lot less crazy now. Wandering Gnostic says, whoa, I'm American and I'm Southern born and bred, but what you described gave me the effing creeps. That's like horror movie level nice where you get lulled into feeling safe and secure before they barbecue and eat you. Not the a-hole, but I'd seriously be Googling that town to find out why she was so relieved you didn't know about it. Then decide if you need to run screaming from chainsaw-wielding maniacs. And Opie responds, lol, my friend said the same thing, but I didn't want to be dramatic over it. I thought maybe they were just nervous and uncomfortable about the situation and my fiancé is just being defensive and putting it back on me by saying it's a cultural thing? I'll definitely do that Google search. I might have been reading into it because I was super on edge, but it just struck me as so strange. And Marca Igol says, how many girlfriend or long-term partners has your fiancé had in the past? I'm asking because, for example, my mother was overjoyed when I finally told her I had a boyfriend, my first one at 27 years old. She definitely was a little over the top when she met him, so it could be that. I wouldn't worry too much, but try and mentally prepare for that niceness onslaught next time you meet them. And Opie responds, I am his first serious relationship. He's mentioned past flings, but we haven't talked much about exes, so maybe his mom is just really excited that he's finally settling down or something. Alright, the community agrees that Opie was not the a-hole and they have different theories about it. So now let's move on to the first of two updates that Opie has given us. I finally got my fiancé to talk to me and it was not a good conversation. I apologized again for coming across as ungrateful and he said that the way I reacted to his family told him everything he needed to know about why he was so reluctant to let me meet them in the first place. He said I should be grateful they welcomed me with such open arms and that I needed to remember that the only reason I'm doing so well in this country is because I am dependent on him to be here. That had me so angry I literally can't stand being talked down to. I said I felt like this was way out of proportion, and he then accused me of cheating on him. He demanded to see my phone because apparently, according to him, I am intentionally trying to sabotage our relationship by saying his family is too nice so that he'll call off the engagement. I can then call him the a-hole and I get to go off with my so-called fling. I am not a cheater, so I said, go ahead, look through my phone. He scrolled through my texts for a bit, my internet search history, my social media search history, and my camera roll. As expected, he found nothing, but he doubled down and said that this was a serious problem for him and that he needs to reevaluate our entire relationship. I am so baffled. He has never blown up on me like this. I feel like I don't even recognize who I'm getting married to. What the F do I do? Am I actually this much of an a-hole? Opie's edit for clarity. I didn't articulate myself well in the first post, so here is a more extensive rundown of what happened at his home. His mom touched my hair and kept hugging me, grabbing my arms and even pinched my cheeks a couple of times. These could be all very normal things. I am coming to understand this by reading the comments. But this, paired with everything else, just made me feel like more of a doll. She said I was more beautiful than she imagined and multiple times kept saying I was beautiful and perfect for her son. She also grabbed my shirt because she said it looked so good on me and wanted to feel it. She insisted I sit down next to her and every so often kept saying she was so glad to finally meet me and that it feels like she had been waiting for me forever. She served my plate for me and kept filling it with food even when I said thank you, it was so yummy, but I'm full. She kept bringing me drinks even when I said I wasn't thirsty. I don't handle alcohol well, so I try not to drink. I would try to decline, but she just kept insisting, so then I felt like I couldn't. She was asking me what I was looking for in a relationship, what kind of wife I wanted to be, what my past relationships were like, why I left my exes, what my thought process and reasoning was. And since we left, she has been texting me almost this whole time, asking me to promise I'll come back and visit, asking when the wedding is, asking me to not put it off for long, asking when we're going to have kids, asking if we're trying for kids. I hope this provides more clarity for why I felt the way that I did, even if I shouldn't have said it to my fiancé because I was a guest in their home and a receiver of their hospitality. OP's edit 2. Many people have asked, and I guess it might be more relevant than I thought. Fiancé is white and I am Asian. No, I was not born in the US. We met when he was teaching English in my home country. Okay, so with that edit, yeah, it's very creepy behavior. I honestly felt like I was reading Hansel and Gretel in a moment there when the witch was trying to fatten up the kids so she could eat them. Yikes! Anyways, let's move on to the final update to see how this story ends. I want to start this out by saying thank you so much to all of the comments and people who messaged me private words of support and comfort. I have been really slow to catch up to what is happening to me, and though a lot of the comments scared me, I started coming to the natural conclusion that they were right. I felt more and more unsettled as the hours went on. Fiancé's mother kept texting me, and he didn't text me from work like he usually does. He got back late. His job is labor-intensive and requires long hours. When he got back, I was waiting and told him I wanted to talk right now because the way events are unfolding is unacceptable to me. The effort I've put into our relationship and is leaving too many questions unanswered and creating even more. He instantly lit up and demanded to see my phone again. I said I would not give him my phone unless he gave me his, and he vehemently denied, saying I was the one causing problems, so it was his right to look through my phone, not his. At this point, I was starting to feel really scared of him. I am physically much smaller than him, and this has never felt more apparent to me than in that moment. He was speaking really loudly and really close to me, telling me that his family and him were willing to give me a second chance if I behaved better this time, that he knew I had it in me to be polite because I always acted that way back in my home country, and that no one else in America would put up with this BS, so I should consider myself lucky he didn't do more to expose my cheating. I asked if he was threatening me, and he again demanded to see my phone. I said no, though not as firmly as the first time, and he stormed off to the bathroom and turned the shower on. I was really scared. So many of you told me to look into him and his family up, and I didn't because I honestly thought it was silly, but I did, right there in our living room. Turns out, he did have a past girlfriend, though he's always mentioned he has only had short flings and never a serious relationship. She disappeared 8 years ago and he was considered a suspect for a while. I couldn't find much in the articles because I honestly didn't know how to dig further. I don't know if anything ever happened with it, if he still is a suspect, though I guess he couldn't be to teach English in another country. I don't know how it works. I know he was never convicted, but whether or not he did it is irrelevant to the fact that he lied. He lied so colossally about something so huge, I was genuinely so scared that I started shaking. I couldn't think or do anything. It was the middle of the night and he was in the shower and I was just so scared. I really missed my mom and home so much more than I have since I left. I locked myself in our bedroom and called her, and she answered despite it being the middle of the night and tried to explain what was happening as best as I could. My parents told me to leave all my things except for my family photos, heirlooms, and my work things and go to a hotel. Not to say a word to him and just do it as quickly as possible. I told him he was in the shower, so they thought I would have enough time to do it without him noticing. I got all my stuff together as quickly as I could. I think I forgot some jewelry, but it's okay. My dad sent me money for a hotel and that's where I am right now. I took an Uber about 2 hours away from the city on a separate account I made that night, as I don't have a car here. My fiancé started messaging me about 30 minutes into the driving asking what was going on. I sent him the links to the articles I read and said I was feeling really scared and lied to, and that I thought our relationship was over. If he thought I was cheating, clearly we don't trust each other. He called me so many times, kept sending that I was a bitch for accusing him of something he didn't do, for bringing up such a sore subject when he wasn't ready to talk about it. He said he wished he never met me and that I should think long and hard about what I'm doing because I don't fully understand the consequences of being alone in America. That no one will want me like him, that he was doing me a favor. I just ignored it. I was crying so hard the Uber driver actually asked me if I was okay. Then his mom started calling and texting me. She said she knows it sounds scary, but her son is a good person and he had nothing to do with it, and that if we just get married and have kids, things will really smooth out. I couldn't take it anymore. I just wanted to go home. Everything was clicking into place way too much. His parents' treatment of me, why he kept demanding to see my phone, why it took so long for me to go to his hometown and meet his family. My friend walked me through everything and it all made sense. My body was so overcome by the stress and fear that I couldn't stand to be there for one more second. I'm at a hotel now. All location services on my phone are disabled and my dad bought me a plane ticket home. I emailed my job and told them a family emergency came up and I would no longer be able to offer my services to them. Most of my clothes are still at the home I shared with my fiance, and I don't think I'll ever get them back because I don't want to go back, and it's not like I can ask my friends to get it for me. I have some friends here, but they're not close and it's too hard to ship them. Anyway, that's it. I sent him a text saying that the engagement is called off. There's a lot of other things to address, like the fact that we have shared accounts, he has my visa information, etc. I don't want to speculate over what happened with him and his past girlfriend because I don't know. They never found her and my heart breaks for her. He just lied about it for years and tried to do everything he could to keep it from me. I am too scared to ever be comfortable in that relationship again, and I think it's time for me to go home. Thank you so much to everyone who sent me comforting words of support and kindness. I don't know if I would have come back to the same conclusions if not for your comments. Hopefully, next time we meet, I'll be back home with my family and friends. Well, OP, we could definitely speculate all day about what happened, but it doesn't matter. He lied to you, you're out of that relationship, it was a scary situation, and it's a good thing that you're now safe and going to be safer close to your family. So on that note, here's wishing you the best, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Caltastic84. Shut my mouth and do what I was told? Absolutely! When I was in college, I worked as a baker for a well-known regional bagel and sandwich chain. At some point, an assistant manager transferred to my store who was the stereotypical petty, power-tripping, ridiculous manager you find in this type of job. Her specialty was yelling at and berating employees in front of customers. I will never not believe that she enjoyed publicly humiliating people. It was tolerable until I agreed to cover a shift at the store she transferred from. Someone there asked me what I thought of her. I thought I was careful as I just commented that she had very high expectations, which were hard for some people to meet. Understatement of the year. Well, this lovely person passed this back to her, which shot me to the top of her crap list. What followed was a series of write-ups for egregious violations like missing some seeds when mopping the floor or not emptying a garbage can that had a single paper towel in it. Lucky for me, I was one of the few people there certified to run the ovens. My opportunity for malicious compliance came one Saturday lunchtime when a charter bus pulled up. I'd seen this before and knew that a bus full of people buying sandwiches is equivalent to 2 to 3 people bringing bagels to work. Barely a blip compared to morning rush. I went to the counter to help and Mrs. Assistant Manager yells at me to get back into the kitchen and start baking more. I tried to tell her we were fine, but as soon as I opened my mouth, she yelled, "Shut your damn mouth and do what I told you and don't stop baking until I say stop." Two important things to know is that first, when I took my certification test, they told me I passed it with the second fastest time on record for the local franchise. The second is that the ovens were adjustable. You could turn up the heat to speed up the cooking process. I went back to the baking area, cranked up the oven, and baked as fast as I possibly could. The ovens had 8 shelves, holding about 48 bagels each. Eventually, I had them all filled up and was only gated by how fast they could cook, and I could send them up front. Mrs. Assistant Manager was down at the register this whole time and was not paying attention to stock levels in the bagel bins. I kept bringing out shelf after shelf. At one point, the bins were overflowing, so I had to start putting them in extra bins we kept in the back. Once those were full, I started putting them in on metal trays. The crowd finally died down and Mrs. Assistant Manager finally looks at the bagel bins and realizes she never told me to stop. She asked me if there was anything still baking and I informed her that every shelf was full. She lost it and started yelling that I was getting fired until multiple people pointed out that I just did exactly what she asked. The store manager ended up coming in and pretty much everyone told them the exact story. Miss Assistant Manager had to bag up the mountains of excess bagels and drive them to all the other stores in the area so that they wouldn't go to waste. Even after that, we still exceeded the allowed wastage for the day, and she was reprimanded. She still yelled at everyone after that, but she was at least more careful in her wording. Well, Opie, I guess it's gonna be one malicious compliance step at a time for her, but hopefully eventually she gets the picture. Thanks for sharing, Opie, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.